distinguished, very distinguished guests. It's my great pleasure and privilege to launch, or should it be to open for academic use, I'm not sure which, what I like to think of now, and I'm sure my colleagues like to think of too, is the Alan Milne American Civil War collection, the splendid collection of Civil War material that Alan has amassed over almost 30 years. And I would like to extend the thanks of the University and the College of Arts and Humanities in particular to Alan for what can only be described, I think, as an extraordinary act of generosity in gifting this collection to us. I said to him earlier, it must be like parting with a well-loved friend. And he agreed with that summation of things. There is a hole in the house now that I'm sure you'll be filling it with other books, other manuscripts, added to your other collections. It is quite simply the preeminent collection of primary and secondary Civil War material in Britain. It consists of over 2,000 items related to Civil War battles and campaigns, material on individual generals, officers and fighting units. It contains regimental histories, soldiers' letters, diaries, reminiscences and autobiographies, works in strategy, tactics, weapon making, leadership, military manuals, material and organizational and support services, especially medical and surgical services. More generally, it comprises a comprehensive array of literature on Civil War, naval and maritime studies. There's material on the Union and Confederate home fronts. There are local and state studies, the role of women in slavery during the Civil War, the mid-19th century American political scene, foreign diplomacy, newspaper and other reportage commentaries, and a large number of encyclopedic reference works. And that's to say nothing of the presidential papers of Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, and those of Jefferson Davis as well. I'm looking at Alan just to make sure I've got it all, but I'm sure there are items there that I haven't managed to kind of categorize. The collection probably includes even more than that. This is a phenomenal resource. It is an extraordinary array of literature, and one which I'm certain will prove a magnet for our own research community, our students and staff, and for scholars from across the globe. Researchers who will come here, I am certain, to tap into its riches, and it will undoubtedly help to build Swansea's reputation as a centre of excellence, research in American studies, and more generally in war and conflict. I know that a great deal of work has been taking place throughout the summer, cataloguing this collection, and I'd like to thank the staff of the Library and Information Service for their efforts. So the collection will now be available on a reference basis for research and scholarship within a dedicated room in the library. And again, my thanks to the Library and Information Service. I see in Glen sitting at the back there. My thanks to the Library and Information Service for housing it in this way, an appropriate way for a collection of this importance. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that the ex-director of the Library and Information Service's daughter is a lecturer in American history at Reading University. Well, I'm not altogether sure. But that will play some small part. To celebrate this much, and it is indeed a matter for considerable celebration, we are honoured and delighted to have with us, though not for the first time, Professor Richard Carladine. Professor Carladine has had a long and distinguished career as an historian of 18th and 19th century America, As many here will know, his research is focused in particular on American politics and religion in the 19th century, with publications including Transatlantic Revivalism, Popular Evangelicalism in Britain and America, 1790 to 1865, Evangelicals and Politics in Antebellum America. His biography of Abraham Lincoln won the Lincoln Prize in 2004, and I think that was the last time we had the privilege of Richard actually giving us a lecture addressing the scale shortly after the award of the Lincoln Prize. And that was subsequently published in the United States as Lincoln, A Life of Purpose and Power. He was elected Rhodes Professor of American History at Oxford in 2002, and he became president of Corpus Christi College, Oxford, earlier this year, returning to the college where he began life as an undergraduate. And I think that must have given him a wonderful feeling, a wonderful sensation of having, in that regard, in that respect, completed the circle. He's also a founding fellow of the very newly founded Learned Society for Wales. In 2009, Professor Carwadine was appointed advisor to the Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial Commission and convened an international conference to examine Lincoln's global legacy. So, it is timely, it is appropriate that his lecture this evening should be on the global Lincoln, the Civil War president, and his international legacy. Professor Carwadine.
Thank you very much, Neil, for that very warm introduction and appetizing introduction. I'm really looking forward enormously to visiting the collection down in arranged for deposit in the library here. It really is a terrific collection, a wonderful act of generosity. And I'm deeply honoured to be asked to come along to speak on the occasion, the celebration of that deposit to the library. If you just give me a moment while I charge my glass. It was, I think, yes, 2005 when I was last year. So 3 years old, it's a pleasure to come back to the land of my fathers. The bicentenary of Lincoln's birth last year revealed the 16th president's continuing grip on the American imagination. An avalanche of new Lincoln book titles joined the thousands published since his death in 1865. A generation ago, his reputation plummeted during the political disenchantment of the Vietnam War and Watergate era. But today he's seen as a model of the wise leadership deemed lacking in most of his recent successors. If the bicentennial response fell short of rapture in parts of the old wide South, elsewhere millions attended Lincoln symposia, visited exhibitions, entered rail-splitting challenges and playwriting contests, and sang and danced to the music of Lincoln's time. They cycled, toured Lincoln, and spent Christmas with him. The impersonators comprising the Association of Lincoln Presenters stood taller than ever. An avalanche of newly designed Lincoln pennies tumbled from the United States Mint. And there's a current bestseller that even uses Lincoln's so-called secret journal, miraculously discovered, to show how the savior of the Union and the emancipator of the slaves fought a valiant, lifelong battle against the forces of the undead, engaging in a bloody vendetta against vampires and their slave-owning allies. And no one did more to lift Lincoln high into public view during the 200th birthday celebrations than his first African-American successor in the presidency. You may have read that Barack Obama, who after winning the 2008 presidential election was compelled for security reasons to surrender his personal BlackBerry,